This is Law Weekly on Channels Television. Showing today an interview with Mrs. Josephine Prt1, the founder and executive director of a leading non-governmental women's rights organization known as Project Alert on Violence Against Women, plus the views of the Lagos State Governor and other professionals on life after oil. The event was an inaugural lecture to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the law firm of George Etomi and Partners. That's the lineup. I am Shola Shoyele. Details in a bit. It was 2 weeks ago, specifically Friday the 14th of February, that the Lagos High Court sitting in Ikeja convicted and sentenced Akolade Arowolu, the man who stabbed to death his banker wife. For those who may have missed the news, here's the report from the judgment which convicted Akolade Arowolu.
This is where it all began. In this neighborhood, in the Solo area of Lagos, is Akindainde Street. And it was here at number 8 that the couple, Akolade and Titilayo Arowolo, lived. The news of Titilayo's death first broke in June 2011. Indeed, the offense was committed on Friday the 24th of June 2011, the birthday of the defendant, Akolade Arowolo. After their investigation, the police first arraigned the defendants before the magistrate court in Yaba, but following the advice of the Director of Public Prosecution Lagos, Mrs. Olabisi Ogungbeson, the case was transferred to the Lagos High Court Ikeja, which had the proper jurisdiction for a charge of murder. 15 witnesses testified for the prosecution. They include the police officers involved in the investigations, neighbors of the couple, and family members of the late Titilayo. Her father, his 2 other daughters, and their stepmother detailed in court a series of domestic violence which characterized the marriage, from a slap to punches, and at one time the husband was said to have chased his wife, the late Titilayo, out of the house with a knife. The court heard that on more than 10 occasions, the late Titilayo moved out of her husband's house to her father's, oftentimes bearing wounds from fights between them. The court was also told that the husband would become remorseful, come begging, and she would forgive him and move back to her matrimonial home. A forensic pathologist, Professor John Obafunwa, also testified for the prosecution. Indeed, he identified several defense wounds on the body of the late Titilayo. But the most damaging testimony was that 76 stab wounds were also found on her body after a 5.5-hour post-mortem examination. The injuries were so vicious and applied with such tremendous force that the pathologist concluded that they could not have been self-inflicted. For Justice Latifat Okunu, this testimony was so believable, it punctured the heart of the defendant's testimony. The defendant, along with 5 other witnesses, his parents inclusive, had denied that he was violent. In fact, the court heard that he was a youth pastor in his church. On the day she died, he claimed he had left her at home to go out and buy some items meant to celebrate his birthday. He said that after he returned, she started to act strange. They had a minor quarrel, and she picked up the kitchen knife and attacked him. The court held that his testimony effectively placed him at the crime scene, and combined with the testimony of the pathologist, conclusively proved that she died from stab wounds.
I am helped in the name of Jesus. I am delivered in the name of Jesus. Yes, I am delivered. I cannot be condemned. I cannot die in prison. I did not do it, therefore I cannot be convicted of it. Jesus, you are Lord.
Against the background of that judgment, I spoke to someone who is doing a lot of work on domestic violence. My guest, Mrs. Josephine Prt1, is the founder of Project Alert on Violence Against Women. She has won several awards locally and internationally. And one notable one is the Ashoka Fellowship Award, which is a global award for leading entrepreneurs with innovative ideas. She won the award in 2002 for setting up the first shelter for abused women and young girls in Nigeria. In this interview, we dwelt on the issues of violence against women and some of the issues surrounding it.
Let me start by asking, what were the thoughts that came to you when you heard the news of the death sentence of Akolade Arowolo? I know that as an NGO, you followed that case closely, you were actively involved in it, but when you heard the news of the death sentence that had been passed on him, what were the immediate thoughts that came to you?
For me, it was a renewal of hope. What do I mean by this? For some time now, I've been feeling very depressed about our justice system. With the judgment given on Titi Arowolo's case, I said to myself, there is hope in the land. It's not about rejoicing over a fellow human being being sentenced to death, but the fact that justice has not only been done, but seen done. A strong message has been sent out that domestic violence does not pay. Because there's so much impunity. So much impunity. So for me, it was a relief.
There's no doubt that domestic violence is still a major issue, but can you share with us some of the cases and the stories that you're working on?
Domestic violence is one big issue with us. It's a problem that honestly is assuming frightening dimensions. For us at Project Alert, almost on a weekly basis, we receive an average of 7 cases. 7.
That's 1 per day.
1 per day. Just one NGO, one little NGO. Meanwhile, you know that there are various points of reporting such crimes. And again, there are several others that don't even talk about it. That don't even seek help. A lot of the cases that come in here, it's about threat to life. The husband threatening, if you don't leave my house, I'm going to kill you. If I meet you back here in the evening, I'm going to do this to you. And such threats should not just be taken easy. You know that, how can you say for sure that that threat will not be acted out? You know? And that's why you see, I have a problem with the law enforcement agencies. Even though in Lagos we have the domestic violence law. But a lot of women, when they go reporting to the police tell them it's a private matter, you know, or guy is joking, he can't do that. And
that's still the attitude of our police officers.
To a large extent. Though it's getting, in Lagos is actually much more better. I mean, because like I said, there's a lot of awareness. Increasingly, there's been a lot of awareness on the issue, which has been made better, or which has improved over the years with advocacy work done by organizations such as ours, and also the state government. Honestly, I must give kudos to the Lagos state government. We have a responsive government on that issue, in the sense that Lagos state has passed a law on domestic violence. Not only has it done that, the provisions there also talks about a safe place, a shelter. They've set that up. Though Project Alert set up the very first shelter for abused women in Nigeria, we opened our shelter May 2001. You know, but we've been working closely with the Lagos state government, especially the Ministry of Women Affairs. But still, a lot needs to be done by way of practical support services to victims, such as sensitivity on the part of our law enforcement agencies. You go to the hospitals, you know, in cases of sexual violence like rape and all that, the response by health workers, you know, still needs to be, I mean, there's a lot more that could be done.
Do we have the statistics of any kind of data as to how many cases of domestic violence there are in the country today?
Unfortunately, we are not, even if we have statistics, we have our own statistics. It's not representational in a country of 170 million. What we need is a national gender crimes victimization survey that at a glance would tell anybody that, look, in Nigeria in the year 2013, there were 5,000 reported cases of... We don't have that. We don't have that.
We don't know what's the statistics of women.
We don't have that. What we have is NGOs such as ours trying to put together what they see. Also, for us at Project Alert, we've gone a step further. Actually, last year, 2 years ago, we actually did a kind of crime victimization survey in southwest Nigeria. And the most common form of domestic violence in the southwest is emotional abuse. emotional abuse, verbal abuse. Because when you're talking about domestic violence, it's not just physical. You're talking about physical, you're talking about sexual, you're talking about psychological. There are a lot of women who, their husbands don't beat them, but the mental torture they go through. There are some women, even if they're talking to a friend on the phone, and they hear the car horn of their husbands returning from work, they could actually dive under the bed. You see them cut the phone immediately and say, I'll call you back later. You know, showing you the level of fear they have, mental torture and all that. So that study showed that in the Southwest, we have more of verbal abuse, emotional abuse, than physical abuse. The psychologists will tell you that physical abuse, well, depending on the degree, not acid bath, not the kind of stabbing that with a collar day, you know, that actually some aspects, some physical abuse could actually be better than mental abuse, because mental ailments are very difficult to treat.
One of the things I noticed, covering that judgment was that there was like a conspiracy of silence. There were friends, there were neighbors, family members who knew about this and kept quiet. So for those people who witness it and they keep quiet, what is the message that you would like to send to them as regards eradicating or even nipping domestic violence in the bud?
Let's face it, anybody who gets married, initially when you get married, you put in your all in all. You want it to work. Nobody gets married with the mindset on that wedding day that I am divorcing the next day or I'm walking out the third day. You go in there with all your mind, with all your body. You want everything to work out well. Then immediately you start seeing some of those signs. Because those signs are always there. In fact, they are there even during courtship. If Titi were alive today and sits back and recollects even their courtship, I'm sure she'll see some things that pointed in that direction, which for one reason or the other, she decided to ignore. You know? But like I said, in her own case, while she tried in her office, she worked with Skybank. Of course, you don't want your private matter to be a public discussion. So she tried to. Because colleagues said that she used to come in with some injuries, and all that. And she'll either say she tripped down the staircase or she slipped from an Okada. Meanwhile, she had a car that the young man was driving and all that. So there are a lot of stories which did not add up. But of course, they respected her privacy. But on the part of her family, they knew and they tried to help. She actually was the one who wanted to stay on in that marriage somehow. Because 3 months before this happened, she actually ran. She was at her parents' place, her father's place for 2 months. 2 months. And the father, an immigration officer, the man said, I met with the man. The man said, I told her that you are not going back. That if Akolade is ready for marriage, let him and his family come back for a renegotiation. Then we'll know what to do. So she was at home with her baby, with her father for a time. But apparently when she was going to walk along the road, the guy would corner her and beg with the Bible. It won't happen again. It's the devil. I didn't mean it this way, please. Because he knew he couldn't go to the girl's father's home. You can't beat my daughter. She runs to me and then you have the guts to come into my house. Whatever you see, you take. So he couldn't go to the girl's father's home. So he would corner her at street corners, maybe from work and beg. And this guy kept going. After a while, he got to her. This is a young girl with a baby. In her mind, okay, maybe it's changed. Let me give him another chance. So she would go back and beg the father, Daddy, please, can I? Daddy would say no. The father said the first time he told her, no. The second time she came with it again, he told her, this is a no-go area. But by the time it got to the third and the fourth time, it is this same society that would say a father that wants to marry his daughter, a father that does not want the daughter to be married. Do you want to marry your daughter? The man has begged, so what else do you want? So the daughter put pressure on them. Eventually the father accepted and she went back. She wasn't forced back, she went back. Only for 2-3 weeks, not up to a month, after she got back, this happened.
For those colleagues at work who saw the signs and all of that, for those neighbors who decided to mind their own business, what What is the message? What should they do differently so that we don't have a repeat of
The
this?
message is one or two things. It's either you help somebody alive or you help somebody dead. Which one is better? To my mind, it's better to give your assistance while the person is alive. Yes, I understand the point of view of neighbors and friends, which is that, and it has happened in some cases where neighbors will go and report, and then by the time the police will come or something, the young girl and the young man will say, oh, there was no problem, you know. And then the neighbor looks foolish. The neighbor looks foolish, the neighbor looks stupid. I understand that part. But at the same time, it's about, there are not two similar situations. Do you understand? There are some cases really, honestly speaking, if I must use this popular saying I always say, there are some cases you just have to swallow Panadol on another person's headache. So for neighbors, for friends, you can help such people. What are some of the ways you can help such people? If you are aware of any organization that gives counseling, slip the information to the person. Just tell the person, I'm not asking you to leave. I'm not just go talk to those people. You know, if you know the girl's family, throw them a hint, because sometimes the families don't know. So if you know her family or her friend, hint them. You may be saving a life by just that little thing. It looks little, but it's a lot. You understand? If you know her pastor in church or whatever, it's possible she's gone to the pastor and the pastor is not taking it. But by the time somebody else comes in, a friend or a neighbor, and say, Pastor, corroborating and say, look, it's this thing you're taking lying low. It's more serious than this. Please don't take it this way. So please, let's not keep quiet, because you see that the silence is the problem. Silence enables such situations to worsen.